Now, when we talk about digital transformation in the book publishing space, tell us some of the benefits of that transformation. Some of them you've addressed, and some of the challenges that come along with that as well.
Right. Look, I think the biggest kind of way and most exciting way that gets us all kind of jazzed up is you're talking about effective and ability to measure the effectiveness of those solutions. So more effective solutions and ability to measure it. Why? Because through these digital solutions, we're able to capture those interactions of the materials and the students and the data that's associated with it that result in outcomes. That's a very important key. The second aspect is we are able to adapt our quality and the needs at a much faster cadence than print publishing that could take years or a year and a half to get that next print textbook out. We're able to do that much faster. We're able to get access of these solutions to a broad scale of users or a broad set of users through technology-backed solutions that we could have otherwise not. I mean, these are really app-driven, you know, that most of them now sit on the cloud, so it's not even a server issue. I think that as a combination, when you start to think about it, allows us to have solutions that are affordable. And if I were to connect all those, which is quality, effectiveness, scale distribution, affordable, is an amazing combination. And that should be and will be the future of education. And companies like us are at the forefront of making that happen.
And I know one of the challenges that you mentioned is around counterfeiting or, you know, using data without paying for it, things like that. And one of the things that I know is a big issue for everybody is the cost of education. Right. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Right. You know, cost of education is a very serious societal issue and kind of really has many different aspects to it. We've latched on to a couple of aspects that are not necessarily kind of the big drivers of it, but we have an important role to play, so I'll break it into its parts. First is the societal expectation that education, like healthcare, really has a component of it that up to certain levels should be made available to anyone who wants it and deserves to have access to it, and which I would like to make the case almost everyone does. But then there is the other balancing aspect of it, that any solution provider in education should be self-sustaining and thriving by their own selves, so they need to get paid. The concept of free is a difficult one to justify when you think about it. It needs to be around for a long time, and it needs to learn and adapt and get better. So if I juxtapose it on those two sides, the challenges are many. We've got an understanding that, one, education is extremely important. It needs to be met. Demand is up, and you've got fewer and fewer institutions that now have to bring in staff, and that staff cost. There's an inflationary aspect to those costs, or the staff costs. The students' services needs have gone up, including, you know, whether it's counseling or sporting needs, etc. That drives costs up. And government subsidies really has taken a sharp downturn, particularly after the 2008-2009 financial crisis. So that has all led to needs that are currently not being met through the traditional sources of subsidy. And therefore, you've got the students and their parents needing to take up a lot of that cost. Having said that, we do believe community college costs continues to be fairly affordable in the bigger scheme of things. The four-year public colleges have taken a big hit. And look, there's a part for companies like us to play, and then the institutions will need to fix a good chunk of their own by themselves. The part that we do control is, of course, the course materials and the cost of course materials. And you know, all the things we talked about, the digital transformation, to be able to cut those deals at an institutional level. For us, Cengage has a product called Cengage Unlimited, which is more like a all-you-can-eat buffet. And you know, there's an annual subscription, not unlike what people use for their kind of, you know, telephonic needs or cable TV needs. That model also works. Essentially try and bring down costs in a way that works for us and works for the student.